Good day to everyone. Welcome to the new session in Press Tool Technology. Today we will be discussing about a new chapter, which is acceptance of tools on process capability. That is acceptance. So to begin with, we need to understand the context at which we will be using the process capability study. In order to take the discussion forward, let us consider you are building a high-speed stamping tool as an example. Will be your normal way of doing things is to you make the design, you make the bill of material, you procure the steel, and you cut all the elements. And during that process, you'll be taking that each and every element to the inspection department. For example, if you are making the top plate, you cut all the holes and slots or whatever it is, and then you will take it to the inspection department. And you measure it and see whether it is to the print and whether it is acceptable or not acceptable. And you do that to all the elements in the tool. And finally, if everything is to print, you will put all the elements together and you complete the tool. For example, you assemble the tool as a die set, and you, for example, this is the punch and maybe the die, so on. Phase 2 is take this to the press shop, to the press, right? And you pass the steel and you make parts, and you get the first part, you get the first off. Suppose if this is the part we are going to make, you get the first off, and then you put the switch in automatic. And what happens here? I already mentioned like this high-speed stamping tool, and you are going to get like 1000 strokes per minute, 1000 parts per minute. So this will keep on spitting parts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And in a shift, you are going to make like a 500,000 parts. Now I am going to pose you a question here. During the process of building this tool, you have taken this to the inspection department, and you are able to measure all the elements of the tool to make sure whether it falls to the printed to the designed size, right? Now in the phase 2, you have taken the this particular tool to the press shop, and you are going to make parts, and that too in millions, and this part is need to be sold to someone, right? How you will you be able to measure this part, every single part? It's not just a matter of like one top plate or a punch or a die that is to be measured. You are getting this in millions. Is it possible? I think it is not humanly possible with all the sophisticated equipments which is available right now. It is impossible to measure every single piece that is coming out of the die before it is sold to the customer. Or on the opposite, on the other hand, if you are the customer, whether what confidence you will have to buy this part? You won't be able to measure like millions of parts. That's not possible, right? So this is where this comes into picture. Process capability study. To take a example from our real life, you might have experienced this. During the election time, you might have heard or read in the magazines and in the papers, prior to the election date, the media will start predicting who is going to win, who is going to, like this particular candidate from this constituency is going to get this much of votes, and the opposite, his competitor, his challenger is going to get only this much of votes. and finally this particular party is going to come into power, or maybe this is going to be a hung parliament. So you might be wondering what's going on here. I am from this constituency and these people are saying this man is going to win. Nobody came and asked me though. Nobody came and asked me whom I am going to vote. Then how did they predict this? And you might have noticed this, like 95% of the time, their prediction has come correct. What kind of magic is that? Or like you take another example, like during the monsoon season time, the ministry will say no more fishing for next maybe like June, July, August, push it to some other month, because there are only going to be this much of fishes in the sea, like, or there are in the baby fishes, you can't fish it right now. Did somebody really dive into the ocean and count every like kingfish or pomfret or anything? No, nobody did that. So this is where there are scientifically proven methods to predict how many fishes are going to be in the sea, or who is going to win the election with how many percentage of votes. So we are going to discuss all the factors that constitute into the calculation of the process capability study. So this is what the process capabilities or capacity process is all about. Consider you're running, like let's say you're running one particular part. Maybe it's a sphere of diameter 10. You're going to use the centerless grinding machine. So you made the first part, you measured it, you got it perfect. You made a few more parts, and again it measured perfect. You are comfortable, and you are going to push the button into automatic so that the machine will start to pump out parts. So let's consider a spec for example. So it's a diameter 10 millimeter plus or minus maybe 0.5. So I'm going to introduce a new term here for you. What is the maximum allowed tolerance for this particular part? It's, of course, is it 10.5, right? So the upper spec USL, and what it stands for is upper spec limit. So that's what it is, U, S and L. So upper spec limit for this particular number is diameter 10.5, and on the other side LSL. So it stands for lower spec limit. So that's what LSL. So just register these two terms in your head. It is upper spec limit and the lower spec limit, and the lower spec limit in this case is 9.5. So it's diameter 9.5 millimeter, right? So let's take that scenario which I already told you. You're going to make, you're using the centerless grinding machine, and it's going to run in automatic. You made the first part, you measured it with the micrometer, you found it okay, you measured few more parts, you found it okay, then you're going to push the button into automatic and stand and watch, right? Now let's see what's happening here. So let's chart it like this. Just draw a line here, and this is where you want all the parts to be diameter 10.00, and you have a tolerance at which you can play on. This is the limit you can cross. So on the left side it is lower spec limit, and upper spec limit here. So here in this example we have already discussed, it is 10.5 to the maximum. If you come to the lower side, it is 9.5 millimeter. Let's just remove the emblem here for easy visibility. So you got wide range here, but you want all the parts to be at 10, bang on 10, but it's not possible, right? That we have already learned in metrology, the very basic. You can't make a part, all the parts to 0, 0. There will be, definitely there will be some change, right? So take here, it's 10.25, and again 10.4 goes on, maybe 10.1. Let's remove the 0 here. And on this side, you got 9.25, you got 9.9, oh, sorry. .6. So your machine is going to spit out parts. So at random you will go pick few parts and you measure it. And suppose you got bang on first part, you measured exactly on 10. Second part again happened to be at 10.0. Another part, it happens to be at 10.1. So on, like you keep on measuring the parts which is coming out of the machine at random at certain interval. So you will get some of the parts which is measured fell at 10.05, some fell at 10.1, some fell at 10. Maybe 15, and same way on the other side, on the lower side, you also some of the parts which is measured are on the other side of the graph. So finally, you got lot of parts measured, you captured the data, and finally this has happened. The machine has produced over a particular interval according to this particular measurement captured. Some has come to 9.8, maybe it's somewhere here, 9.8, and here 10.15 right here. So if you plot this, make a histogram here. So this spread is actually termed as CP, or capacity process, or process capability. So it is this spread here. What you observe is majority of the parts which has come out of the machine has come where you want it to be, like 10 millimeter, and that's what the nominal says here, right? But there were deviations, but all within the limit allowed. So there is a formula to calculate this process capability. So CP, that's what the spread is all about. CP is equal to upper spec limit, that is the upper spec limit minus lower spec limit and divided by 6 sigma. So in this case, you know, upper spec limit is 10.5 and lower spec limit here is 9.5 and 6 is the number, and sigma is the standard deviation. Sigma is standard and how you calculate sigma is equal to R by D2. R is the range and D2 is a number taken from the chart. So this is how you need to memorize this. This is how you calculate CP, capacity process. Upper spec limit minus lower spec limit divided by 6 sigma, and sigma is the standard deviation. And it is universally accepted that your whatever comes out of this calculation here, the CP, there's a number which need to be registered in your mind. It should be minimum 1.5. 1.5 in the sense, maybe it will look like, the bell will look like this, well within the allowable range. If it is not, it might look like this. So it is the upper spec limit, sorry, lower spec limit, LSL, USL, maybe it look like this then. What it means is, like say 10 point, the same numbers we can chart here. 10.5 is the maximum, 9.5 is the minimum. So your machine is making parts all within spec, but it is all over the place. You just compare these two. I don't need to say that you will be very comfortable with this setup, because you can put the machine automatic when the night shift starts and go and sleep, have a peaceful sleep. Because even if it spreads out, maybe it might come here, it will not go near to the border, to the maximum allowed variation. But whereas here, you are playing with fire, right? Your machine has produced parts even very close to 10.5. So in this case, if you do the calculation, we will do some exercises after this. It will be very easy to comprehend. In this case, the CP may not be 1.5. For example, I would say just a guess, maybe it is 0.75, which is not acceptable. Minimum CP after calculation should fall to 1.5. Hope this is clear. So in order to make sure you are not producing bad parts, establishing process capability is very important, and this can be used to just set the machine. When you're setting the machine, you see some inappropriate activity, like some of the parts going away and your bell is looking very wide. That's indication that you have to attend the machine. And you cannot call the process under control if it doesn't falls under chance cause. Now let us see, just being CP on to 1.5 does not guarantee your parts will be all in spec. Let's see what is the other factor that matters. So this is what I was trying to tell you. if your parts are falling well in spec, which is upper spec limit and lower spec limit, and the parts is everything is well within the boundary, your CP is greater than 1.5. Another scenario which I told you is upper spec limit, lower spec limit, and if your part is like all over the place, then your CP could be less than 1.5. So the acceptable range is that, this is not acceptable. But just getting CP more than 1.5 will not say your process is totally under control. There's one other factor that really matters other than CP, and that is CPK, process capability index. It's termed as CPK. Let's try to understand what is the difference between CP and CPK now. Let's consider a process which is well under control. CP, your CP is well under control, it is right at the middle, well and good, you're very happy, right? But your machine is making all the parts, it's not very spread apart, it's a very peak hill, but consider what will happen if it is running very close to the one of the limits here. So lower spec limit, upper spec limit, and your machine is making very good parts, but your graph is somewhere here. See, you're approaching the danger zone here, right? So it is the distance between the peak of the graph to one of the sides, either it could be upper spec limit, it could be lower spec limit. So this is termed, this distance, how close you are towards the upper or the lower spec limit is CPK. So it is very much clear from these two pictures here, or sometimes it could be on the other side, right? Your machine is making parts, I'll put the numbers here. This is what we are saying, 10 plus minus, so 10.5 and 9.5 here. Maximum number of the parts made by the machine in this case is 9.75. It's well within the range, but and there is no much variation from, very few parts are 9.8, 9.85. 6. That means even though your machine is making parts within the spec, it is playing very close to the border, allowable limit on the lower spec side. On the other side, sometimes the machine is making parts which is very closer to the upper spec limit. Again, this is also danger, right? So it is the distance between where your X bar is. X bar is the maximum number of parts made by the machine. Is it closer to the upper spec limit or lower spec limit? And how do you find out this CPK? So CPK can be found out. I already told you CP is upper spec limit minus lower spec limit divided by 6, and sigma is the range. And here there are two formulas here. This is your center line, right? This is where you want all the parts to be 10 millimeter, upper and lower. If it is on the upper spec limit side towards the maximum, it should be upper spec limit minus x bar. X bar is nothing but the peak. Or in this case it is here. In this case it is here, divided by 3 sigma. That is if it is on this side. Or if it's on this side, or your CP K should be x bar minus lower spec limit divided by 3 sigma. So hope this part is very clear to you. There are 2 factors that has to come right. One is your capacity process, which should be minimum 1.5. That doesn't tell you your parts are going to be in spec. It's the second part which you have to take care. Even though your CP is set at 1.5, if it is on playing closer to the border, either this side or this side, you are on danger zone. So in order to find out that, you need to find out CPK. And how will you find out? If it is on this side of the border, towards the upper spec limit, you have to use upper spec limit minus the x bar. Please, I believe you understood the x bar concept here. This is the graph. I mean, these are the parts which is being made by these are the parts which you have measured over a period of time, and maximum number of parts made by the machine is at this point, right? So this is the x bar. So LSL minus x bar divided by 3 sigma, or the second side, if it is on the lower spec limit, it should be x bar minus lower spec limit divided by 3 sigma. Let's do a small calculation, do a small exercise so that you can comprehend all these factors. In this exercise, let us use this lucky red seeds as a specimen. Suppose consider this is a part which you are going to produce, and you will take the same scenario. You are using the centralized grinding machine. You made the setup, you are comfortable with the numbers in the initial dry run, and you are pushing the machine to automatic, and it will start to spit out parts. So let's set the time period here. For example, we will set every half an hour. You go to the machine, you take the last 5 pieces. 5 pieces will be the sample size. In this case, you take the 5 pieces falling out of the machine, measure it, record the numbers, put that away, let the machine run. After half an hour, you go back to the machine, take the last pieces falling out of it, measure it, record it, and you set the time. Maybe you can do it for maybe the whole shift or for the whole day, and then you have to derive the numbers. So we will put numbers for this particular component here. Let's consider that as, say, component as 5.5 millimeter with a deviation allowed of 1 millimeter either side. Just an example. So the upper spec limit for this particular number will be the maximum allowed limit is, of course, it's 6.5, and on the other side it is lower spec limit. Minimum allowed is 4.5 millimeter. So your aim is to produce that all the parts be produced at 5.5. It's not going to happen. There will be some variation, and from that you have to derive, after you have to derive what is Cp. So Cp you know it is USL minus LSL divided by 6 sigma, and before that you need to find out sigma, or sigma is equal to range divided by d2. d2 is a value taken from the chart, and this is not enough. We have already discussed that. You need to find out also CPK, capacity process index. How you find out? Depending on where it falls. If it is falling on the upper spec limit, it is upper spec limit minus the x bar divided by 3 sigma, or if it is on the lower spec limit, it should be x bar minus lower spec limit divided by 3 sigma. So let's set the stage here. We'll set a chart here. So this is the time. Set you put a sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 4. I think let's consider only measuring 4 parts one particular time. Maybe you start at 9 o'clock and you go back at 9:30 and measure it again. After half an hour, you measure another 4 pieces, and at 11 o'clock measure again, and this can go, you set the time. For example, we will set only up to 11:30 and see what we can derive. So at 9 o'clock, somebody is walking to the machine and he's picking like 5 pieces. So I'm going to measure this and let's see what we get here. So it's 5.43, and don't put this back so that you won't be measuring it again, right? 5.43, the first sample, 5.43. The second one, 5.48, put that away, 5.48. The third piece, 5.20, 5.20. And the last piece here is the fourth one, 5.25. After 9 o'clock, you go back to the machine. After at 9:30, you go back to the machine and pick another four samples. The last 4 pieces that is falling out of the machine. Don't choose. Just take 4 pieces. Again measure. This is at half an hour, but the machine has kept on running. This is 5.51. The last piece, at fourth piece at 11 o'clock is 5.44 again. So for the sake of easiness, let's stop here. So we have done these measurements at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intervals, like half an hour intervals. So now we have to find out the required parameters here. I'll just erase this for a second. So we need to find out the X range here. So remember, I was saying sigma is equal to range divided by d2. So what is the range? And we need to also find out the x bar. So let us find out what is the range at, say, like 9 o'clock. We have measured 4 pieces here. So which is the maximum and the minimum? That's the range here. So let's see the maximum number that has measurement is 5.48 and the minimum is here 5.2. So what would be the range here? 0.28, right? 0.28 is the range. And at 9:30, identify the highest number out of the 4 here, 5.61, and the minimum is 5.44. So it's 11 plus 6, 0.17, right? And at 11 o'clock, out of the 4 pieces, the maximum measurement is 5.51 and the minimum is 5.42. So 0.09, right? So now you got the range here, see? Different ranges at every half an hour interval. So likewise, we need to figure out the X bar at individual period, like 9 o'clock. You did the same thing here. This plus this plus this plus this, sample 1, 2, 3, 4 divided by 4, and at 9 o'clock it happened to be at 5.34, the X bar, and likewise like 10 o'clock 5.54, at 11 o'clock at 5.45, and finally the average of the X bar for this 5 period is 5.46. And now let us find out what how much the range has come to. So this plus 0.2 plus 0.03 plus 0.09 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's coming to 0.15. So you got the range here, range is 0.15 and X bar is 5.46. X bar is 5.46. So you got all the elements which you need to calculate the capacity process and the process index. So let's see, let's note this down. So the upper spec limit component is (5.5) plus minus 1. So upper spec limit, the maximum allowed is 6.5, and on the lower side it's 4.5, and from the data we derived the X bar. Sorry, let's use the same color here. X bar is at 5.46 and the range here is R is equal to 0.15. So remember the formulas. Let's see what Cp and what Cpk is. So let's find out the Cp first. Or before we find out Cp, we need to find out what is sigma. So sigma is equal to range divided by d2, and I already told you d2 is a value taken from the graph, and range, as we know, that is the range here, is equal to 0.15, and d2 is the thing which is taken from the chart. Let's see, let's consider (2.54). d2 is 2.54. That means the sigma will be 0.15 divided by 2.54, 0.06. So that is the sigma. Need to find out Cp now. Let's see. So Cp is equal to, recall the formula, its upper spec limit minus the lower spec limit divided by 6 sigma. Upper spec limit 6.5 minus lower spec limit 4.5 divided by 6, and sigma is 0.06. So let's see, it's 2 millimeter, 2 divided by 6 into 0.06, which is equal to 2 divided by 0.36, which is equal to 2.30. So your Cp is equal to 2.30. So remember what we learned, the minimum value required for Cp is 1.5, and in this case it is 2.3, it is well above what we need, right? Now let us find out what Cpk is, the index is. So we need to find out whether the Cp is on this side of the graph or on this side of the graph. I mean, either it's on the upper side, upper spec limit, or the lower spec limit side. So how do we do that? Remember the formula, Cpk is equal to, now we can figure out here 5.5 is the middle number, right? And the x bar has fallen to 5.46, that means it is on the lower spec side. Anything more than 5.5 will be on this side of the graph, right? So 5.46 x bar is on this side of the graph. That means we have to use the second formula, minus x bar minus lower spec limit divided by 3 sigma. So x bar, as we know, it is 5.46 minus lower spec limit is 4.5 divided by 3, and the sigma here is 0.06. Let's see what it has come down to. 5.46 minus 4.5, it is 0.96 divided by 3 into 0.06, 0.18. So that means your Cpk is 0.96 divided by 0.18, which is 5.33. So what does this tell us? You got a very good Cp and a very good Cpk. This is good as well as this is good. So your process is absolutely under control. So we have already gone through all the parameters. We found the sigma, then we found from the data we found what the range is, then we found out what the x bar is, and we found out the Cp process. The bell curve is very good because it has crossed the minimum required 1.5, it has fallen to 2.3, and from that we found out what the index is, Cpk is, which has come to 5.33. So this is a very good process which is under control. Remember, we had two formulas, two options here, right, to find out Cpk. The first one is what we are seeing now here, x bar minus LSL divided by 3 sigma, and remember, or USL minus x bar divided by 3 sigma. So in this instance, because your x bar has fallen towards the LSL side, you have used this one here, correct? Or what if it has fallen to the other side, like hypothetically I would say if the x bar is for example 5.55, Just hypothetical, right? Just for the sake of argument. If it happens to be 5.55, what would be this number? I think we'll just rewrite the formula here. This is just hypothetical, not to be taken literally, just for you to, intention is just to make you understand. Just in case your x bar is on the other side of from the middle point, you have to use the next formula, which is USL minus x bar divided by 3 sigma, and what that would have been is USL is 6.5, USL is 6.5 minus x bar, sorry, minus x bar. Hypothetically, we are taking 5.5 just in case if we happen to get that. 3 into, and sigma we already know 0.06. So that will be, find out, 6.5 minus 5.55 is equal to 0.95. 0.95 divided by 3 into 0.06 is 0.18. So 0.95, sorry, 0.95 divided by 0.18, 5.28 is equal to 5.28. So just in case if you don't want to pay attention to your x bar, what you do is use both formulas and take the highest number. Is that clear? If you don't want to pay attention where the x bar is, where your middle point is, where it has fallen on the left side or it's fallen on the LSL side, you just calculate, use both formulas, and just take the highest number you got. This is how the usual practice is in the industry. And now let us find out what is LCL and UCL. Last thing is control limits. So we need to find the control limits. So we have the control charts when you run the machine. You got the center line, that is where the maximum data are falling, and you got 2 lines here, and you got the final border, which is the customer has given you. It is upper spec limit and the lower spec limit, and this is the center line. Center line. That's where the maximum number of parts are falling, and you got it running on both sides. Sometimes some ships it is falling on this side, sometimes here, sometimes here, here, here. It's all within control. So this is the upper control limit, and this is the lower control limit. So it just this graph here. So it is going far, and sometimes it is here, and goes on. So you need to find out the control limits so that you can control the process, and anything happens to go above that will give you a signal that you have to attend the process, right? So how do you derive to LCL? So LCL is derived from LCL is equal to x bar minus 3 sigma, and likewise UCL is equal to x bar plus 3 sigma. In this case, let us find out x bar is 5.46 minus 3 and sigma is 0.06. That is, let's find out later. And UCL is 5.46 plus 3 sigma, which is sigma is 0.06, which is equal to, let us see, 3 into 0.06, 0.18. So 5.46 minus 0.18. It is 5.28 is the upper control limit. 5.28 is upper control limit, and 5.46, oh, that's the lower control limit, sorry. Is equal to the lower control limit, and 5.46 plus 0.18 is 5.64 is equal to the upper control limit. So need to understand these two terms and the difference between it. Upper spec limit and upper control limit. This is the customer spec. Upper spec limit is the customer control, and this is derived from after you run the process and see what the capability is, and you derive this and always try to keep the whole process within this range throughout. So this is what the process capability is all about. Hope you understood the whole idea. Wish to see you on more of these videos on later date. Thank you.